And I'm just telling you that his arm is so good and his ability to manipulate the baseball is so gifted that I would not be shocked if his ERA is well below his batting average. And that's not saying his batting average is going to be like 320. So let's just say his batting average is 260. I think his ERA is going to be lower than his batting average, which would be one of the most incredible things that you can think of.
How often do you get to have a Hall of Fame legendary pitcher on your baseball show? Well, here on Flippin' Bats, that answer is every single week. And today is that day that the Hall of Famer from the Atlanta Braves, John Smoltz, joins us. What a fun, awesome conversation we're going to have today. I've been talking a lot about Shohei Ohtani and the Cy Young Award potential for this year, so I'm going to ask John Smoltz, pitcher himself, about that possibility. Also, Mason Miller. I've talked about what he might need to do to win the Cy Young Award, so I'm going to ask John Smoltz, the perfect guy to ask. He was a starting pitcher, he was a closer, and he's a Hall of Fame pitcher. Can Mason Miller win the Cy Young Award as a closer, and what will it take? We're going to talk about the New York Mets. Is he concerned about the New York Mets? Are the Braves back? I'm also going to ask him why he doesn't. What does he need to do to get a statue in Atlanta around the Braves Stadium? I'm going to ask him about that. And then the Milwaukee Brewers, who just won a baseball game by bunting many times, just bunt after bunt after bunt, and it won them the baseball game. And I'm going to ask John Smoltz about that because he. I'm pumped to ask him about that. I think he's going to love it. But this is a really fun conversation today. A lot of great things to talk about. And without further ado, I am pumped to welcome in now, as we do every single week here on this show, the Hall of Famer, John Smoltz. John, how are we doing this week?
We're doing good. Augusta came and went. We can focus on baseball a little bit more now. As the season starts warming up, the weather starts warming up, we find out a lot about teams here in this month.
I want to start with you this week with a conversation I've been having over the last week or so, and it's with Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani has been unbelievable on the mound. He gave up his first run in his most recent start. He ballooned his ERA to 0.50. He struck out 10 guys in 6 innings and was again masterful on the mound. John, you've had high praise throughout our time on this show talking about Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher. Could we see Shohei Ohtani win a Cy Young Award this year?
Well, based on I don't want to say watered down statistics of innings pitched, the answer is yes. Because he's spread out and they're going to take their time with him, and because he does, obviously, superstar hitter too, you typically would think that it would take about 180 innings, but 160 innings, I think, if I'm mistaken, is one of Cy Young. So the answer is yes, but I've always felt that. I felt like we've talked about it, and, whatever people think, I don't care because I'm right, is that the fact is that he's showing what he can do now on the mound. He's always showed what he could do at the plate. But he didn't hit in this last game, so he was totally focused on pitching, which is a unique thing, by the way, because he doesn't do that very often. Yeah. And I'm just telling you that his arm is so good and his ability to manipulate the baseball is so gifted that I would not be shocked if his ERA is well below his batting average. And that's not saying his batting average is going to be like 320. So let's just say his batting average is 260. I think his ERA is going to be lower than his batting average, which would be one of the most incredible things that you can think of.
I think he wants it. And that's an interesting conversation because everybody that does what they do, like Paul Skeens wants it, Tarek Skubal wants it. But Shohei, seemingly, when he sets his mind to something, for example, the year he was out with his first year with the Dodgers, he wasn't pitching. He wanted to do something different. So he went 50-50. He started the 50-50 club. He's back on the mound now. And he's always talked about pitching, and he views himself as a pitcher. I think he wants to win a Cy Young Award, and I think he knows that innings conversation is going to be a thing. So, one, do you agree with that? But two, I think I'm excited to see him push that extra inning per start because I think he knows he needs those innings.
I think if he was on any other team, this wouldn't be a discussion. But because the Dodgers are in such an elite position, you know they're going to manipulate their roster and their pitching rotation because their only eye on the prize is winning another and manufactured third world championship in a row. So I think that hurts him a little bit. But I also think they have the utmost respect for Shohei Ohtani. As long as it's not going to hurt the future of the playoffs, they'll give him that opportunity. Why wouldn't you? He's franchised. He's the franchise. He's made you a ton of money, and you've paid him a lot of money that's coming later. So I think if it was on any other team that wasn't in the position the Dodgers are, he would absolutely pitch 180 to maybe 200 innings. So I think you're right on that, and I think he's going to utilize his mind, his will, and his extreme talent to put to bed once and for all that he can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. Before we move on from Shohei, an interesting question for you that I had earlier this week that kind of sparked a lot of interesting answers. How do you view Shohei? And it's interesting because I think a lot of people from Japan, and Shohei himself included, view him as a pitcher first. But a lot of Americans, I think, view him as a hitter first, pitcher second, as a Hall of Fame pitcher watching Shohei, but an American. How do you view Shohei Ohtani? Hitter first or pitcher first?
Well, I've always viewed him a pitcher first, but it's skewed because they here in the States have only get to see him as a starter. I mean, very few as a starter. He's been hurt.
Yeah.
So that interaction of what is he, for sure here in the States, he's a hitter because that's what they've gotten to see him do. Yeah. But now they're going to have their minds blown away when they see the result of what he's able to do. He's going to have a bad game. Everyone does. He's going to have 2 bad games. But what you're seeing is the talent coming out, and I believe what's in his heart. He wanted to be the best pitcher in the major leagues. Oh, by the way, he wanted to break the mold and be a two-way player, which he's done. And now he's won MVP after MVP, and he's going to continue to do that as long as he stays healthy. So to me, I've always seen his arm as one of the greatest assets, period. Because if you ask me today, Game 7, what's more important for the Dodgers, him on the mound or him at the plate? It's not even close for me. It's him on the mound. Because his impact is going to be far greater than his ability to get 4 at-bats, which he may get walked 4 times and not even get an opportunity to hit. You can't do anything about him on the mound if he's on. He impacts the game that much more. So that's why, beyond his ability to not only hit home runs and steal bases, when he's doing both, it limits a little bit what he can do at the plate. And people don't understand that because he's not going to steal 50 bags if he's pitching and hitting. So because we got to see him do that as a hitter without pitching, it skews everybody, and rightfully so.
And I think we got to see at least a little taste of it the other day. It was really the first start. I don't remember. It's been a long time that he's been able to be a starting pitcher and not be in the lineup. And man, his stuff was the best I've seen it in a long, long time.
And I will say this. I think long term, if he keeps doing this, long-term, the Dodgers are going to have to give him that day off at the plate when he pitches. There's going to have to be some rest. This guy's not superhuman where he can just keep doing this until, he's 38 years old. So at some point, this would be a good recipe for the Dodgers and for him.
Yep. John, I want to stick with the Cy Young conversation and ask you, you're the perfect guy to ask. You're a Hall of Fame pitcher as a starter, and you are also a closer. I want to ask you about Mason Miller. Mason Miller has been unbelievable this year. He's given up 1 hit. He's struck out 22 of the 27 batters that he has faced. It's levels of dominance that we haven't seen in a long time. And I know it's early in the year, but I feel like you're the perfect guy to ask this question. Can Mason Miller, as a closer in this day and age, win the Cy Young Award?
The answer is yes. I hope he doesn't get so carried away with the phenomenal statistics and run he's on. And what I mean by that is striking out 3 hitters in a 1-run game, phenomenal. Striking out 3 hitters in a 3-run game, not as phenomenal.
Yeah.
My point is, if they can use him in a more availability instead of utilizing 27 pitches in an inning to have phenomenal stats, but then he's got to sit the next day, I think the more he's available and the more San Diego is able to use that weapon and let's just say unseat the Dodgers or, get to a point where they're viewed the game's over from the seventh inning on. Yep. Yes, it's unreal what he's doing. I wasn't a huge fan in the beginning of bouncing him around. I'm glad he's in this position now that he can just learn and dominate. He's like Mariano Rivera and Hell's Bells of, the two greatest closers to combine. He has the ability to get you out, strike you out, dominate, game over. That's an unbelievable weapon to have on your team. Trevor Hoffman and the greatest, the Sandman, it just doesn't get any better. And he's proven that he's in an elite level.
What do you think he has to do different? Because obviously, as we've gotten towards this day and age, when it comes to pitchers winning Cy Young Award, unfortunately, the baseball writers don't just go by the Smoltz formula that has proven to be pretty dang good, if you ask me. There's a war conversation that more so happens now, and closers can't get there in terms of WAR and the number of innings that they accrue. What do you think Mason Miller, does he have to be better than Eric Gagne was 2 decades ago? Does he have to, what do you think Mason Miller needs to accomplish this year? Does he need to be perfect in saves to win the Cy Young Award?
I mean, it's a great question. And unfortunately, we judge players by the wrong metrics. Yeah. I mean, strikeouts per 9 innings is going to be through the roof for him. He's going to maybe set a record. But if he gets addicted to it, it's going to get away from the ultimate outcome, and that is you win every game that he pitches. And that's what Gagne did. I think it was 86 in a row over 2 years or whatever it was. I think for me, if he can learn that it's okay to give up a run and a hit as long as your team wins, he doesn't have to be perfect. Perfect in saves, yes, that would be the quantitative metrics that I would use to say he'd have to be so special in some of those categories to upstart. Again, it's so watered down with innings pitched and starting pitching. But let's just say we got a Shohei Ohtani throws 190 innings. Now that's going to be a big hurdle to jump. Yeah. So closers impact your team way more than a starter does, but the volume is going to be a big part of it. And they're not going to allow him a lot of volume. They're just not, because of the way he throws and how dominant he is. So they're going to cherry pick, and I can understand that. But I think if he's available more often, which means he's not exerting 30 pitches in an inning, he's going to have so much value added that's how he's going to climb the ladder for a Cy Young.
Yep. John, let's move on to a more team aspect. I want to ask you about the New York Mets. The New York Mets changed everything this offseason. Needed a new look, they got a new look. So many guys out the door, in the door, and I like the team that they put together, to be honest with you. But as we sit, admittedly, less than a month into the year, they do not look good. They're in last place, a long losing streak. Are you worried about the New York Mets?
I would be more worried if there was a longer time absent for Juan Soto. He is definitely showing the value of being in the lineup, whether he swings the bat or not. I do think the Mets are going to be okay and very fine with what they've done. Now, they've had an interesting journey to get there. I mean, they just got done with the best team in baseball. Yeah. It's definitely the schedule, the nuance. It takes a while for a team to get together. We've been here, done that before. I don't think any hole in that division based on the balance. I don't think the Braves, are the Braves of the team where you could run away and hide. I don't think the Phillies are playing capability right now is where they're going to be. I think that division is so balanced that I think you're going to see that be the mixture all year. So I'm not concerned. I know it's easy to do that in that market and that the sky is falling, but they're just too good. I don't think Bichette's going to hit like he's hitting. Yeah. I don't think Lindor is going to hit. That's the puzzling thing to me. Lindor, he's done this quite often now. Yeah. He's been able to bounce back and get on his streaks, but you got to have Juan Soto in the lineup, period.
Yeah. Do you worry at all about identity? Who are the Mets? So many players out the door. Pete Alonso, your guy, your leader, your rah-rah guy. So many new players come in, great players. How much value do you put into a team with a totally different overhaul, saying, and getting off to a bad start and trying to find their identity. Is there much value in them like kind of being in no man's land with who they are as a team?
Well, there's no doubt that is a reality. And winning hides a lot of things, but what it doesn't hide is if it's not connected.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a narrative that's fair. I don't think we throw that around a lot for teams, but I think in this case, it's fair. They have changed their identity. They have who's their guy. I mean, everyone wants to know who's the guy they can lean on. The manager will always tell you certain things, and then he'll hide certain things that you can read as a player, knowing what it takes for 162. You and I have talked about this. There's no metrics to value that.
Yep.
It is the most important hidden metrics that you can't quantify that will either tear a team apart or bring a team together. Yep. And I know people just go, they have no idea. Anyone who's never been part of a team and part of a league, and for that matter, 230 days together, have no idea what that can mean to a team. So valid point. And in the next few weeks, we're going to find that out, because when you lose 8 in a row, I don't care when, your bounce back and get up off the mat is going to have to be really, really good. And I think they got a chance to show that.